It's wildly quiet and serene down here. I like to come down here and sit. I usually watch this guy across the river on the Mexico side just water his yard most of the time. That's about all that's going on. It's, I guess, not all that exciting, but pretty peaceful.
Here in South Texas on the Rio Grande River, the international border between the U.S. and Mexico, clearing is underway for President Trump's long-promised border wall on land from a federal wildlife refuge.
These are some of the last wild spots we have left.
When wall was built in this area under George W. Bush, the government agreed to spend $50 million to mitigate the environmental harm from the wall. This time, that is not happening. For over 30 years, the U.S. government, through the Fish and Wildlife Service, has actually bought up land here along the river, those green bits. They bought it to keep it wild for native and migratory species, including endangered animals like the ocelot, over 500 species of birds, and butterflies like the monarch, plus lots of other creatures. For instance, while we were filming, we saw a bobcat. This is the only photo we have.
What's at stake in Texas is the little strip of biodiversity we have along the river. That's all that we have left, because all the rest is agriculture.
The area is also popular for other migratory mammals, ones that bring tourism dollars.
I am a manager at Oleander Acres. Hi guys. It's a family-owned park, about 1.5 miles from the border. We have a large group of winter Texans that come down every year.
Usually around the same time that our winter Texans come down is when our monarchs come down.
Monarchs are migratory, and they funnel right through this area each year. Border wall has lots of negative impacts on wildlife and butterflies, according to the National Butterfly Center.
They can't build the wall in the middle of the river, which is the actual international border. And they're not supposed to build it in the floodplain, although they are.
The wall is built with an existing levee and would prevent animals from seeking higher ground in case of a flood.
We had a flood and we ended up with a bunch of armadillos because they got driven out of their habitat.
The wall causes habitat destruction.
They don't really need construction going through or 24-hour lights.
And well, it's a barrier.
People say, well, if they're butterflies, they can fly over a wall, can't they? Well, we don't know, because normally concrete walls especially change wind patterns. And the butterflies fly close to the ground. They go from tree to tree or bushes to bushes. And that's the kind of stuff with environmental laws you would study first and then figure out how to solve that.
Using the post-9/11 REAL ID Act, the Department of Homeland Security waived over 24 laws to approve 6 miles of new levee wall that will cut through Benson State Park, the National Butterfly Center, Las Lomitas Chapel, and tracts of Federal Wildlife Refuge, citing that walls work for Homeland Security.
This idea that the wall stops anyone from coming is a lie. Never mind the fact that even by Border Patrol's own admission, the majority of the drugs and humans are coming through legal ports of entry.
Then, these 3 sites were temporarily saved, at the same time as Congress approved funding for more border wall elsewhere in South Texas.
We thought that was a great thing for about 30 seconds, and then the president declared the state of emergency.
It's unclear what happens next. The contractor and Customs and Border Patrol didn't return our requests for project updates about the federal land that was already cleared.
I live up the road 1 mile. I don't even lock my car at night. It is like that. You don't have people coming through. Across here, that's Mexico over there. As a kid, we would come out here and boat out to these little mini islands or things. Pretty fun. Now, because the military and the Border Patrol and everything is so heavy down there, nobody really goes down there anymore. So here's the border wall. It's a really neat tree. It's really peaceful out here too. Come on. Being on the south side of town, I grew up like this, but these are some of the last wild spots we have left. With McAllen blowing up and turning into kind of such a big city.
As land is cleared for other reasons, Salome and her brother are trying to keep their land as wild as possible.
We just started planting the right butterfly host plants.
Not mowing, keeping an area wild. We've had javelinas, there have been bobcats. They kind of get pushed up this way.
When the Bush administration built wall in the Lower Rio Grande, they waived similar laws. But $50 million was set aside to mitigate the impacts of the wall, which included buying land to conserve elsewhere in South Texas. This time, according to the Defenders of Wildlife, that is not happening.
So we're basically throwing away years of expertise, and U.S. Fish and Wildlife has some amazing biologists, and all that's being lost.
We were not able to get an on-camera interview with Fish and Wildlife, but a senior official told us that under the Trump presidency, though conservation security remains a priority, Fish and Wildlife has a new priority as well: homeland security.